What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Ask Ryan, where I take all of your questions from Instagram and answer them right here on YouTube. So if you want to have your question answered on the next episode, make sure you go follow me on Instagram. So let's jump into it. The first question comes from What the Flip Bro. Starting from scratch, what would be the fastest way to make $5 million by the end of 2022? This is a great question from one of my future flipper students who's been flipping couches, flipping houses, while working a day job and thinking just bigger overall on what they can be doing. For me, when I look at making $5 million by the end of 2022, I mean, I'm just gonna assume we're talking gross profit, not net profit, because that would be like really crazy. But there's a lot of things you could do. If you're starting from scratch, I don't think you're gonna flip $5 million worth of houses. That's really hard to do. But I think there's a lot of opportunity in both the e-commerce and crypto space if you're trying to make money quick. You know, I know for me with Lunar Ecom, that's my e-commerce automation company, that has made me more money faster than any of my previous companies before. Mainly because I think there's a huge demand for e-commerce automation, but also just e-commerce is infinitely more scalable than many other industries. I also think that's what makes crypto so valuable and why it's scaling so quickly, because it's very easy to scale. There's just no overhead, there's no inventory, and if you buy into the right coin or the right project, then you're able to do some crazy things and get some crazy returns. Personally, as I go into 2022, I'm looking at scaling my e-commerce company, like I mentioned, but I'm also looking at getting into the crypto space as my own business, such as creating my own NFTs, creating a coin potentially, maybe even tokenizing my fund at Pineda Capital. There's a lot of things that you can do in crypto now, and I think it's gonna continue to get bigger. So if you're starting from scratch, I would say look into the e-commerce space or look into the crypto/NFT space, because there's so many opportunities there to grow really quick. The Real Leo asks, do you prefer single or multifamily investing? So up to this point, I've been a single family guy for my whole career. We recently just bought the 334 unit apartment complex in Georgia, but overall, I can't say I prefer one or the other. You know, I still buy single family, we still flip it, I still keep some as rentals, but we're also looking for big multifamily deals. So I don't think that one is better than the other. I think that it's just dependent on what you're trying to do. So I'm gonna say that I'm indifferent on that. Tay Calder says, what's your biggest monthly expense that doesn't actively make you money? This is a good question. Obviously the real estate makes me money, but the mortgages on those are my highest monthly expense. You know, I've got hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest payments every single month between all the real estate I own with, flips and rentals and everything else. But I would say the biggest, monthly expense that just doesn't really make me money probably is food. If you guys watch me on Instagram, I eat out at really fancy restaurants every week, and I probably spend at this point, I don't even know, maybe $5,000 to $8,000 a month on food, just because it's one of the things that I really enjoy. I would have said golf would have been a really high monthly expense since I go every week, but now people pay to play with me, so that turned from a hobby into an income stream. The Porsche, you could debate whether it makes me money or not. On one hand, by putting it in social media, I can use it as marketing. On the other hand, it's a car that has a car payment, and, I don't know how you would want to define it. So it's gonna be one of those, but if I had to pick, probably food. Food doesn't make me any money, I just really enjoy it. Speaking of cars, Marv asked, if you could only pick one between the Lucid, the Tesla, and the Rivian, which would it be? I've actually had pre-orders on all of them. I had pre-ordered the Lucid Dream, I had pre-ordered the Tesla Cybertruck, and I have pre-ordered the Rivian R1S. Now, I drove a Tesla Model X for a year, and I enjoyed Tesla. I think I'll end up getting a Cybertruck at some point. I ended up canceling my Lucid because I bought the Porsche Taycan, so there was really no need to have two different electric sports cars, so I canceled that. And I'm patiently waiting for my Rivian R1S. It's supposed to come in February, they say. Super excited for that, can't wait to own that. So I guess the answer to the question is the Rivian is what I'm gonna be picking, because I sold my Tesla already and I got rid of the Lucid, and I'm patiently waiting for the Rivian. Mitch Wilkins says, how can I get a hold of you? Been trying for months. Man, it's a tough thing these days. I get hundreds of DMs every single day, and emails and everything else. So I've got my team filtering the DMs and filtering my emails, and they're kind of pushing to me what they think is most important. So if you're trying to reach me in that aspect, make sure that the DM or the email is something that will catch their attention. But probably the easiest way people have been reaching me is the golf with me thing. I just started allowing people to golf with me, and that's been the way that people are going one-on-one, and we're having conversations and hanging out and building relationships, and it's been really fun. The only downside is it's gotten booked out here for a few months now. So if you're trying to go play golf with me, you better book it quick because there's a pretty long waiting list. I'm gonna lump these 3 questions here together because they're all pretty similar. These ones came from YouTube. Chante says, with all the companies and properties you run, how do you manage your day? And then a very similar question was, Christian, was it hard to start delegating important tasks at the beginning? And then lastly, Mahad says, why do you have so many businesses? Why not focus on one and grow it to 1 billion? So, as I said, I think these all stem from the same kind of topic and idea. For me, I have multiple businesses because they have just been companies that have come up from problems that people were having, and I just provided the solution. When I started flipping houses and having success, people asked me how to do it. They wanted to do it too. And so that made me create Future Flipper and teach people how to do it. Now we have thousands of students all over the country. The next one was taxes. People wanted to know who my CPA was and how I was, saving all this money on taxes. So I said, you know what? I'll just create a tax company to, solve this problem. Then all these other companies came about from this same philosophy, e-commerce. People wanted these e-com stores, so we started doing that at Lunar Ecom. And then with Pineda Capital, people wanted to invest with me on real estate deals, and so I created a fund. Point is, with all these companies, I never intended to really start them. They were just problems that people were having or things that people wanted as, my success grew. And I allowed people to start getting in with me on the success and using the same things that I use. As far as delegating them goes, it hasn't been that difficult because of how I've created the companies. They're all very similar in structure. They all have people running them. They all have employees. There's, systems and processes. And so every time I start a new company, I just go into it knowing that, hey, I don't want to be any type of bottleneck in this company. I don't want to have to work all these hours in this company. So I will only do something if I'm able to get into it with very minimal hours, in the long haul. Now, I can put in a lot of work to start the companies. That definitely happens. But as the companies build and grow, I don't want to be so involved with them. And that kind of goes to the question of why not just have one and focus and grow it to 1 billion? And I've actually had this conversation with other people. It's been something that I've thought about deeply. And for me, I think there's 2 things. One, I'd get really bored doing one thing over and over again. I enjoy the process of starting new businesses. 2, I don't know that I have what it takes to get to 1 billion because I know the time commitment is significant. In order to reach $1 billion valuation, you're gonna have to go public at some point. You've got to, give your shareholders, and you're accountable to them, and you've got to put in the work to build these relationships and other stuff. And I just don't really want to do it. It's a big cost. I think I could get there. I think I know a path to get there, but I don't want to do it. And because it will take too much of my time, kind of like what I just said. I start these other companies knowing they're not going to take a lot of my time in the long run. But if I focus on one business that I'm just trying to grow to huge levels, it's constantly going to require my time because of just the nature of the beast. There's no, billion-dollar company where the CEO and the founder is not, constantly working, trying to grow that thing. So I just don't think I'm willing to accept the cost. And I think that I can continue growing multiple businesses and just doing, a few million, not 1 billion. If I can just have a bunch of businesses that do a few million or 10 million, I think I'll be just fine. All right, these are 2 questions I've been really thinking about and people have been telling me to get into. The Diva Patil says, thoughts about owning virtual land? And then Root Boy Genetics says, will you purchase land on Decentraland? So for those of you who don't know what they're talking about, right now there is this huge push for the MetaVerse. Facebook obviously renamed to Meta. They're all in on going into the MetaVerse and doing all these things. I've been reading up about it, and it's something that I've been saying in some of my presentations for a while. I do think the world is going to be like Ready Player One. If you don't know what that is, go watch that movie. Essentially, people are going to live in this digital metaverse where, you know, it's kind of more important than the real world, and people are really going to value it just like the real world. You know, that's why NFTs have a lot of value. It's because they're digital art that people can go show off and flex in the digital world. Well, that is going to happen with real estate too. And that's what they're asking me right now is like, there's these different metaverses essentially, like Decentraland. There's a few other ones that I'm looking at. And you can buy real estate in those verses right now. And if you believe that there's going to be a lot of people going to there, then the prices right now should be extremely low compared to where they'll be in the future when everyone wants to get in. So, quite frankly, yes, I think I'll be buying real estate in the metaverse here very shortly, and in one of these cryptos and NFTs, but I don't know which one it's going to be because I haven't done enough research, and I'm waiting for other people who are much more heavily involved in it to tell me what they think before I go and buy. But to answer the question for the long-term view, yes, I believe in virtual real estate very much in the same way that I believe in physical real estate here in the real world. I think digital real estate is going to be huge. I actually coined the term digital real estate in a different way, more so for my content. I said that every YouTube video I make is a piece of digital real estate, right? Because this video right here makes money, it makes cash flow because of AdSense, but also it's a lead magnet to my other businesses, which will make money. And so by making this one video, it's a piece of real estate that pays me. Well, this is going to happen in the metaverse as well. So I think people who are not looking at it are going to be behind the curve, but it's still so early. You know, I don't think anyone has missed out by any means. But anyways, I hope you got value out of this video. Like I said before, if you want to be featured in the next Ask Ryan, make sure you follow me on Instagram, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.